to reschedule.
I think we may have to, because
And
I want to be
we'll
able to
get
talk to
this
you.
going.
He thinks I'm
But
still petting my cat.
yeah, I cannot hear anybody. I apologize. We will
It's all.
definitely
You can't
reschedule
hear me. I
this
don't know why I'm
for
trying to talk.
another day.
You're trying to tell him, send him a message, Bradley.
I already have.
Mr. Silva, not Anderson, we want to have you back on as soon as we can get this sorted out, because he has an amazing game that's going to be happening. It's the Extraction. It's in an actual prison. Disused, but it is a paintball game inside of a prison. It's a mag-fed only game. It's going to be one of those things that you don't get to do very often in the paintball world. So before we get into that, let me finish hawking my wares. So Moncton Paintball, we definitely love them. They're our friends. They're my home. I definitely want to get out there again soon. Paintball for Kids is coming up next weekend. Let's see, right here. You guys, people on the radio can't see me pointing to my tummy where it says D-Day, because D-Day is where the party in Canada happens. What's up?
Yeah, sorry, your audio's gotten real bad. It's kind of robotic, man. Kind of robotic. That's the first time it's happened. No. Anyways, moving on. Sorry, keep moving forward, man. Keep moving forward.
It's terrible. I am so very sorry. D-Day, June 2nd, in Ottawa. That is the Commando Tipman Challenge. It is the party of the year in the paintball world. We're going to be there. Bradley is the fantastic MC. I'm going to be roaming around, spreading my good joy. My cat's making strange noises, and I'm sorry. And I'm sure my microphone's gone terrible, too. Bradley, how's it going over there?
Nope, you're good. Well, I mean, you keep going in a little robotic, but keep it going, man. Keep it going.
My train of thought is completely gone. But I will. You've all seen the announcement. We've all known it. We've been going on about it. Nova Paintball is now an official sponsor of the Maritime Paintball podcast. Their product is the number one marker, a mechanical marker out there. I can tell you, before they were a sponsor, I said it, and I can even say it now, because if it was trash, I would tell him. I just wouldn't I wouldn't ask for him to be so gracious and help us. Their markers are designed to be efficient. They shoot as straight as an arrow with as minimal problems, and somebody so simple as me can get shot right smack in the middle, take the marker apart, put it back together on the site, and not have to worry about it. Reasonably priced. They ship to Canada. TJ is the very best at what he does. Definitely go check out Nova Paintball. I personally run the Odin. I love it. I'm looking forward to getting my hands on a Hellion, because that thing is just a beautiful piece of hardware. Bradley, who else are we thinking of?
Sorry, I just had to sign a piece. I just had to sign a piece of paperwork here real quick. I fully agree. I'm very excited to have
station managers in there harassing you already. I haven't even cussed. Goodness.
It's not even the station manager. It was actually security.
Again, I'm not there. I don't know why they're bothering you. Who's that strange-looking man out front?
Yeah, more or less. More or less. That's more or less what happened. Yes, terrible. I'm very excited for Nova to be part of this. TJ's a great dude.
I'm all thrown off because of our unfortunate problems. I had a groove. I had something going, and I lost it. It's terrible. Oh, Dave, it's Silva. I'm sorry, man. Oh, I know. I don't care about whatever. It's live. I'm just treating this as it's a normal day, and I just kind of feel bad because that's going to be a killer game. So, for our new listeners, because this is the 400th episode of the Maritime Paintball podcast, Bradley for years has been talking about paintball, screaming into the void of the internet, and now finally we're on the radio. So those of you who have never really experienced mag-fed paintball, it's your similar paintball that you go and play on a Sunday with your hopper on top, except the hopper's on the bottom and it looks like a magazine, like a real gun. It gives you that Milsim feel without Milsim.
Oh, is Dave trying to come back in? We might have him back.
This is hilarious. Hello, Mr. Silva? He still can't hear me.
No, nothing. We don't got you.
Still nothing.
Yeah, it's still nothing, buddy.
No. We're just gonna have to go on without him. Sorry. What was I saying? I got all
paintball.
distracted now. This is terrible. This is like day 2, and we're like just dropping the ball left, right, center.
This
We
is-
were going to talk
no,
about
this-
MegFed.
This is a dumpster fire, and this is exactly because last week went so perfectly that I think we had stars in our eyes because that's like episode 0. That's what that was. That was episode 0. We got that oh, we're in a radio station and we're on the radio kind of thing gone, and now we can kind of introduce everybody to what we really are, and that's terrible.
Yeah.
We are paintballers. We are mag-fed paintball players. We are mech players. We play speedball. We kind of play it all, and we're here to kind of just spread the word, spread the love of combat sports, because there's nothing more satisfying than getting on a field on a Sunday morning, crisp. You have your cup of coffee, you load your paintball marker, and then you run at somebody that's your friend, and you dump paint into them, cuss them out, high five each other, walk off the field. It's a certain kind of weird, strange person that wants to do this on their Sunday, come home big black welts or little weenie ones if you go and you play airsoft. There are different flavors to the game. Today we're going to talk about MagFed. Bradley, tell them what MagFed is. Or
Sorry.
ignore me like my child does. Cool. Perfect. So MagFed.
No, I'm not ignoring you. I'm not ignoring you. I was
Right,
typing
you.
something, and I'm not ignoring. I'm engaging with the guests. MegFed paintball.
Sorry. I'm sorry. It's been a day. Yes.
It has been a day. It's been a day, and it's turning into a night. Holy God. All right. So we're talking MegFed paintball because if we can't talk with David Silva, we might as well talk about what he was going to talk about. Well, sort of. But we were going to get into the niche of a niche. So paintball is a niche. Let's be honest here, right? It's a sport. It's a game that we all love and adore. Those of you that are addicted, if you play it, you know. It's one of the things you either love it or you don't. Basically, it's MegFed's a niche inside that niche. So it's more of a what we say is like a Milsim style or military simulation, or it's tactical or tactical, as some people like to say, because it's really more just about trying to look cool. But it's basically the paintball markers, rather than using a hopper on top, they feed via magazine on the bottom. Hence MegFed. It is for those people that play it and love it. They love it. They are hardcore players. They are truly all about it. There's other players who. Let me see here. I'm getting comments here. Brad's audio is good. Video's choppy. King's audio and video on point. Dope. So if you're into the MegFed stuff, it's fun. It's a different play style, sort of.
Very much so.
That's the thing about
your
paintball.
woods
At the end of the day,
ballers.
everyone's paintball.
Yeah, your woods ballers are going to kind of chug through the woods. Speed ballers are going to run through their bunkers and just kind of spray a lot of paint. Your MagFed player is going to move a little slower. He's going to take his time. He's going to take his shots. He's probably going to look straight out of Call of Duty, or try to be looking as close to something straight out of Call of Duty as he can. If that's really you want to go with that the generic style. I'm getting messages here, probably because my audio's gone to trash again.
I don't think it's your fault, man. I think it's on my end. So we're going to keep rolling. So yeah, when it comes to, like he said, you're going to kind of look like Call of Duty. You're going to kind of look like Battlefield. It's a lot of.
That's what makes it fun. That's the charm of it.
That is kind of the charm, right? Like you get to go out and play G.I. Joe for a day, right? At the end of the day, that's really what it is. You're going out playing paintball, but it's you get to feel like your favorite action star. You get to feel like your favorite video game character, that kind of thing. So I sound so old saying video game character.
Like I said, I think this episode 400, episode 1 is basically going to be the dumpster fire episode. I'm loving this. This is just wonderful. We do sound like
I'm hating
we
it,
do.
but
Are you? How can we fix this? Let's discuss this. Let's talk about our feelings, because that's really part of what we do around here. Is we talk about, because men do not we do not talk about men's mental health enough in the world. Tell me, Bradley, what's really bothering you, other than you've got your butt in my face, cat? You need to move. Fuzzy
the
tub.
fact that I'm hearing every other word from you is what's driving me up the wall.
That would be that is definitely an issue.
Yeah, that's what's really up the wall here, is that I'm hearing every other word. But we're gonna power through it. I'll try and see if I can source a solution tomorrow. But until then,
right.
we're dealing with it. Yeah, that's all we can do, right? I wonder. No, that's not gonna work. So, what David Silva was going to come on and was talk, and sorry, about Magfed Paintball. He was going to talk about. There's a couple of different things. He's got a couple of different games going on that are MagFed only, which means you're only allowed to use a MagFed marker. And and let's talk about the concept of MagFed only, because I'm assuming anybody listening on the radio right now is thinking like, what the hell is this guy like talking about? And the idea is that MagFed players sometimes want the immersion. They want to feel like they're in that situation, that they're in that tactical scenario. So they'll play in a game where it's MagFed only. So you don't get you still get guys out there in jerseys and sometimes collared shirts and blue jeans, but it's you don't have the bright fancy glossy paintball markers. You're not getting the speedball stuff, the competitive stuff. So you can still kind of get that immersion. You can still kind of feel like you're a real soldier, I guess, or what the movies portray as a real soldier. Let's kind of call a spade here. Yeah, so a MagFed only event is a niche within the niche within the niche. It just keeps getting even more granular. So you end up with actually quite a few less people going to these types of events. But the people that do go love it, and like they go for a reason. So it's yeah. So what David Silva was going to be talking about was the games that are going to be playing at a prison. It's essentially abandoned prison, and that's one of the things that I have found with MagFed only games, is that they tend to be played in very unique locations. You don't see open class games where everything's allowed played at places like that. We saw it at PRZ in Picton, Ontario. RIP PRZ. Oh, that's a great T-shirt. RIP PRZ. We should definitely do that. And yeah, so we saw a little bit of that, but a lot of these places, the MagFed stuff is pretty exclusive to these rare locations. I don't know if it's because there's less paintballs fired, so it's less of a mess, or if it's just the average paintball is not seeking these places out. I'm not sure. What do you think, Tom?
Well, you got to know where they are. You got to be able to find them. We were fortunate enough that we knew about PRZ. I was told about PRZ. We were able to go out and check it out. Finding places like that are truly unique. You don't see them a lot in the Maritimes. But it is definitely something that'll appeal and bring people in, because it was so cool to be in this old, like the Picton PRZ was played on an old, it was an old military base. So the buildings were dilapidated. They stank. They were musty, but there's classrooms and cafeterias and hallways. First of all, paintballs fly really straight in a building. There's no wind to blow them off. Of course,
they do.
They're loud. It has this really tense, oppressive feeling in those buildings, because you never know when someone's coming around that corner. And with the MagFed markers, it just gives this really cool sense that you're in a game, you're in real life. Very similar, honestly, very, very similar to Airsoft. The difference is a paintball 68 caliber, a Airsoft BB's an Airsoft BB. So when you pop around that corner and someone's standing there with a MagFed marker and they put 3-4 shots into you, you're aware that you've made a mistake. You probably shouldn't have stuck your head around that corner. The consequences are definitely more. Cool. I finally managed to get myself into the chats. I see that we've got David threw up Operation Blackhawk the 27th, Operation Overwatch the 31st, MagFed only. Overlord September open class. So he's going to be running an airsoft, mag-fed only, and open class out of that prison.
So we're running an open class at the prison. That's very cool. I love
now, Daddy wants. I would love I do love my mag-fed, but man, open class would be sick. That would be wild.
I was really hoping to talk to him about, and we'll. I'm not going to ask my questions now about his games because I want to talk to him about it, but I've definitely got questions about how these games are going to run and what the plans are. I think it's going to be great. I think there's I think there's a lot of planning going into it, so I don't think there's going to be too many issues. Maybe what we'll do is maybe we'll try and catch him maybe after Extraction and before Blackhawk, so we can kind of get him after the first and find out if he's going to change anything for the second.
Yeah. I definitely want to talk to him about that. I want to talk to him beforehand. For goodness sake. This is so cool. I'm really stoked. I really want to try to go. We're booked so hard, and I really want to go check this place out because I've never.
It's brutal, man. It's tight. Like
you remember me giggling for PRZ.
Just to give people an example of what it costs for us to do these things that we're doing. This podcast and this radio show are funded. Well, luckily the show is the radio show is funded by CHSR 97.9 FM at Fredericton here at the community radio station. So they've graciously allowed us to use the studio. The podcast is completely self-funded, so we don't have a whole lot of money coming in. We have no money coming in, actually, to Tom and myself to do this stuff. So when we travel, it's usually out of our own pocket. Now, openly, full transparency, when we travel to D-Day, that's different. That we're taken care of.
They are, because Commando Paintball has been so gracious as to be one of our amazing sponsors. They're helping us get out there. And they're putting us to work. The bosses have absolutely no qualms about putting us to work. I've seen Brad unload trucks. I've seen him hook up sound gear. Miss Marie definitely puts us to work, and we're really lucky to have them. But yeah, it can be a little tough. It's not cheap to make those trips. But
no, because you think we're heading to Enemy for their joust, and that's going to cost us what? I think when we figured it out, I think it's $1,000 a piece.
That right around that.
Right. So now,
please, Bond, can we get you to do that for us? Would you please record the Sally Struthers bit from South Park, and for $1 a day, you can give paintballers a chance? Because
Bond Chick, you record that, I'll play it.
I figured that's what I was just saying.
I've learned how the sound effect machine works. I think
they don't have that song in attached, though, would it?
No. Unfortunately, that song wouldn't come with it. I don't think I can play In the Arms of an Angel.
No.
Maybe I can.
There's a certain amount of music rights that we have to work with, which is why we don't have a theme song yet, which I'm annoyed about. But
sorry, I'm working on it.
I'm being petty. That's all. In the Arms of an Angel. God, I love you. And Rhino gets it. It's not cheap to do that. To ball. Paintball is not a cheap sport.
That's
not bragging. That's just facts. And some days it sucks. It's not bragging. It's like
golf is the same thing. People, like you look at somebody going and play golf, and it's like, oh, it can't be that expensive. But then you got green fees. You got to buy new clubs. You got to buy balls. You got to buy new, clothes if you want or whatever. Got to get a cart. And then the amount of
I'm not walking that course.
So right, yeah. So it's expensive. And hockey, football. You ever put a kid through hockey? Oh my God!
Stay down there. You go that way. Go away, cat.
He's talking to a cat, folks.
No, I'm not talking to my child. He's not that tall. He's like this tall, and he's gone with his mother. He's gone to visit his grandparents for Mother's Day.
Oh, that's
so. Sweet. Yeah, it was. I'm very fortunate that. One, she never listens to this anyways, and two, that I'm very fortunate that so since we're not going to get to all the mumsies out there that are listening, all the mumsies, everyone who just go hug her, If your mumsy's not around to hug her, go hug somebody else's mumsy.
Yeah.
It's that day this weekend, so
And
all
don't
you
forget the
ballers that are
grandmas.
out there, grandmas, stepmas, you know what, guys, peoples, don't forget your moms this weekend, because if you're out, if you can, go thank them. Sundays, if you don't have to go out, great, because some of us want to go ball this weekend, but do the right thing, guys. Don't be that person.
As much as I would like to
forget
go
Father's
play
Day.
paintball, I am taking my fiance on a. This is completely not paintball related, but I'm taking my fiance on a. If the weather holds off, we're going on a hike. So it's with a llama, and it's.
You lost me at hike, but you got me back at llama.
That's all she's on. It's a 30-minute hike, and you get your own personal llama for the hike. So I was like, let's do it. Let's go.
Sorry, I got distracted because I'm looking. Bonchik's going to record that for us because she's awesome. Greg, $500. Double that, Brad. Double that, Greg. For pretty well any trip that takes us to Ontario.
Oh, easy. The
That's
gas
what it
alone
is.
is a third of that. Right? And then food.
I don't eat crappy food, frankly. I eat nice when if I'm traveling, I eat well. I stay in a decent place.
Yep.
I don't sleep in it. I'm sorry, tenters. Respect to the tenters, but if now because RV Easy, cheap plug for those guys, is such a reasonable price that we were able to get a trailer to NME this year. That next time for D-Day, I'm put your butthole away from the camera. Come on now, man. Have some respect. Cat's ass right on the radio. Thanks, buddy. Love my cat.
Amazing.
So I think next year for D-Day, I'm very tempted that I might just drop a trailer at Dave and Marie's and post up at Dave and Marie's, because that's where the party is.
Yeah, that's where the party's at. The hard part is getting hooked up with water and power, because an RV without water and power is just a really rigid tent.
Comes with everything. RV Easy, if you you can actually book exactly what you want. You get what you pay for.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dave Silva has purchased the air fill station from PRZ.
Yep.
So, gentlemen, when you go to the prison, you go and you pay respect to PRZ. Give it a tap. Give that fill station a kiss and a tap for your king, because it served me well at Honey Badger. Let's see.
Yeah.
Savage Army is good. Oh, the Savage Army. Cool. That sounds like you guys are going to have a lot of fun.
Not jealous at all.
No?
No, we really are. I actually am very jealous.
I was going to say, I'm like, you liar.
I am very
I
jealous.
can smell your jealousy through the camera, and that's not the cat's butt.
Yeah. Very
Milsim
jealous.
North.ca, everybody.
Yeah.
Tap that link. That one. It's right about there. That's the one you want. Check it out. They have pre-registration, so go on. But don't forget, D-Day is the shit, and that's where you want to be. I can get away with that word.
Yeah.
So you want to be there. We want you there, because that's the party of the year. I can't say it enough.
So I want to we've explained a little bit about MagFed. Now, one thing that MagFed games tend to have more, I find, than any other games, and I thought this would be a good little topic to get into, because there's not really a guest we can bring on for this without having a biased individual in the hot seat, is that MagFed only games, or MagFed games in general, tend to have more storytelling. They tend to put a lot more effort. So, for example, Operation Honey Badger at PRZ, huge storyline.
Oh man,
huge storyline. We're talking
so
like,
cool.
you got to buy the D&D books. No, it's a joke, but it's not far off. There was huge storytelling in that.
Yeah.
Playing. Where was the other one I played at?
Wasn't there one in the Carolinas you played that was a big story one?
Yes, sorry. Yeah, that was Snake Eater. Snake Eater at in North Carolina at Command Decisions War Games. That's such a strange name.
Seriously, it was Operation Snake Eater.
Yeah,
I mean, they picked a cool name.
They did, but the field's name is Command Decisions War Center. War Center Command Decision. I forget. It's the strangest combination. But the
flavor
there's
text.
storylines there. Fold the Gap. No, Fold the Gap's not Magpul only. But yeah, anytime I've gone to Operation End World, no, End War, at in California, I went to go play there at Copperopolis, which is probably the coolest sounding name for a field.
Oh,
Copperopolis.
that's the disused copper mine, isn't it?
It is. If you've ever thought about maybe playing paintball on a giant mound of broken glass, you can do that at Copperopolis, because that's what copper slag is black glass. And that's what we played on for part of it. It was intense. It was hot. Heat stroke was a real thing. Me and one other guy got it. It was bad. But storytelling, lots and lots of storytelling, to the point where they include props and background and instructions and non-playable characters and lots of stuff.
I want to go to North Carolina. It's very close to our friends at Nova. And
it is. I've been to.
Food is smashing down there.
I've meant to go to North Carolina or to Fold the Gap a couple times. I'd like to go to Fold the Gap. I think it'd be a good time. So they have a lot of storytelling and props and whatnot compared to a regular. Say we just go to a regular open class game. Say like, for example, D-Day. D-Day's got a little bit of story, but it's a little less story and a little bit just more like activities to do. But there's not a real narrative to it, I guess. I could say that. And Fold the Gap, same thing. Not really, there's a bit of a narrative, but not like massive storytelling. So I thought we would talk about, because we have both experienced the good and the bad of storytelling in a game, the good, the bad, the ugly, that kind of thing. And the reason why I don't think we could bring a guest on is because we're either going to bring on a guest who does storytelling and is just going to say it's absolutely the way to go, or we're going to bring somebody on who doesn't do storytelling and say that's absolutely the way to go. So we can't. There's not really a middleman.
Well, you have the devil's advocate.
Yes,
because I love storytelling.
See, I hate storytelling.
I love perfect. This is the fight.
Exactly right. So we're set. We're folded. Got this.
I love storytelling. I love flavor text. I love world building. It's just a 20-hour drive. It's really not that bad. I've made the drive to North Carolina. Whatever.
I'm not driving to North Carolina.
It's just jumping that border. That sucks. I'd really rather fly if we could. But the flavor is what really brings it. And I love the idea of NPCs. At Honey Badger, there was the Merchant of War. You saw when he showed up at the tent with Ryan Bell, and I was skipping around because I realized what this dude was. And then I bumped into him onto the field, and he was in a set of stairs, and he was just shooting like a maniac. It was the coolest thing ever. I love that idea. I can see it becoming cumbersome if you try to do too much storytelling, but same thing in D&D. If you don't let your players play the game, you're just a storyteller. You're not having, that's the point of this. It's an interactive story. First paintball game played, Prison, Operation Black Hole, the first airsoft. Very cool. Very cool. Keep that stuff coming, Dave. Keep it coming. I might not read it all, but anybody else who's reading this text, you can definitely check it. I'll try to read it out because I'm really happy I want more people to go to this. I want this to be so bloody successful that I know that it's going to be jam-packed next year. When they run it again next year, it's going to be jam-packed and it's going to be hard to get a spot. That's what I want to see. So keep that stuff coming. I saw some really good storytelling. I've seen some storytelling that I'm going to use the word overbearing because I don't mean to be, I'm not being rude, but I find sometimes if you try to force a story onto your players, you're going to get bad results. You can't make someone care about the story. Whether it's D&D and your buddy's sitting there on his phone because he doesn't care that you're building too much plot. If it's in a video game and you're pressing X to skip the cutscene because you just want to hack and slash with your sword, you're telling too much story.
Yeah,
now
I agree.
Players get lost with too much story. Exactly. You have to find a happy medium for people like me that want to sit there and really read all the flavor, and you have to compete with guys like him who just want to shoot people. So there is definitely a juggle there.
Now, okay. So, for anybody joining us right now, we're talking storytelling in paintball games. We were originally going to talk with Dave Silva about Milsim North, but things have gone sideways, and we're talking storytelling now.
And he is putting stuff in the chat. They're doing pyro breaches. We saw that at Operation Honey Badger.
Yep.
That was
very cool when done properly. Very cool.
Any pyro done at a paintball game is awesome. I don't care. They got video of me screeching, running down tarmac when that one went off beside me.
So so like you said, the storytelling in an event, it needs to be a light touch. There needs to be a little bit of stuff, but if I have to do research, if I have to memorize 3 pages or 4 pages to know what the hell is going on, if you have 24 different props and I have to know which one at which time of day I need to bring to which person, there's too much. It's too much chaos. Right?
Isn't that what the generals are for, though? In some cases, like that's what it's more the game for them.
But here's for anyone new to paintball listening to us out on 97.9 CHSR FM.
Hi.
Paintballers are like cats. We'll in a big game or a MagFed only game, we'll have somebody like a team captain. They're typically referred to as a general. As I get older, personally, I find that term mildly cringy, but for the sake of the fun, I'll roll with it. So I'm not gonna ever tell a game organizer like that's dumb that you use a general, or you know what I mean. It's a team captain, whatever. It's
the uninitiated. That's what the general is.
Yes. The hard part is that while the captain, the general, whoever, the head of the team may know 20 people on a team, depending on the size. And I'll use D-Day, for example. D-Day is going to have probably 300 to 400 people per team. The captain's not going to be able to talk to all those people. He's going to be able to talk to maybe 10, 20. Right? So you need to understand that as a general or as a captain of a large team, nothing you say is going to happen except for a very small group of people. They will do what you've asked. But the majority of players, it's just going to be scattered. They're just going to, like, buzzers going to go off, like, bam, and then they all run off. And it's like, cool, everything you told them has already left their heads. Yeah, it's gone. It's what is it from Wolf of Wall Street? It's
Fatuzzi.
Fatuzzi. It's Fatuzzi.
It's Fatuzzi. Yes, but again, you find the people who care about the story are going to find it.
Yes.
Like when I ran up to Tim at the first Honey Badger, and he just goes, "They're in that building, or the objectives in that building. Go!" And we just went, "Okay," and we ran in. We shot a bunch of people. We got the objective, and we ran back out with it. And it's cool to be part. And you do start interpreting the rules weird.
A point to be made. You just said that he pointed at a building, said the objective's in there. Go get it.
Mm-hmm.
How is that any different than capture the flag?
In the moment, it's not.
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying. But the way it was, what I'm saying is that's the way to do it. He didn't say, okay, the something, this force is coming in from that point, yada, yada, yada. There's, something or something at the doorway. You need to breach this way, that. And it's like giving you a laundry list of things. He literally pointed in a direction and said, go get me that thing. So you went and got the thing, and then you came back. And that's the extent of the story needs to be. We've run into issues where the story, it was very like, what was it? It was a buzzer went 1 minute later. There was another buzzer. 1 minute later, there'd be another buzzer. And depending on, it was different things were going to happen. And nobody knew what was going on. And we didn't know what part of the field we were allowed to use. And certain individuals got superheated and stood on a pallet.
Oh, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes. But again, there was a lot more to what was going on and to go in that building and get that objective. There was more going on at that time.
There was a grand scheme.
There was a grand scheme. And for those who want to participate in the grand scheme, you can. if the organizer has done it properly.
Mhm.
You need to remember that right there, players will start to interpret your rules differently, and chaos will ensue. In D&D, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find a way to take whatever the DM is doing and twist it against him. I'm going to find a way to rules lawyer him. I'm going to find a way to screw him so that I can get my way and win.
Right.
That's the game. People are going to do that min-maxing. They're going to try to poke a hole in your rule to try to get that objective just a little easier. It is not out of spite. It's not out of malice. That's human nature.
I was going to say, it's human nature. It's going, you need, it's like, I played an event where it was 2 teams, and we had, there was some serious storytelling happening in a very short period of time. So they told us there's the good guys and the bad guys, right? Basically. And they said, okay, there's a VIP in the middle of the field. This VIP has information that cannot fall into the enemy hands because if it does, it'll cause such and such to happen, yada, yada, yada. And they went on for about 10 minutes trying to build this like world around what is essentially a weighted dummy sitting in the middle of the field. And they said, and so they said at the final of when they finished explaining everything, and I completely tuned out because that's what happens. Like you start telling stories and suddenly I'm just like, that's all I hear.
Even Formula One teams exploit the rules. Yes, we're looking at you, Ferrari. NFL, we're looking at you, the Raiders.
Yeah.
Hockey.
So the objective was do not let the VIP fall into enemy hands. So 99% of players would interpret that as I need to get them and bring them back to safety. I interpreted that as if I put a paintball on the dummy, he's out. Therefore,
so behold, just said that. Literally just posted it in the chat, buddy. Shoot the VIP, grab the intel. What do you do?
That's what we did.
Shoot the hostage. Keanu was right. Shoot the hostage, remove them from the equation, and then you're good to go.
Yeah, so that's what we did. And the game master was like, that's not what you were supposed to do. And I said, your words were, do not let him fall into enemy hands. And I said, he is not falling into enemy hands now. And he was very angry at me.
If it's who I think it is, I can see you being very upset with that.
It's a field that no longer, it's a team in a field that no longer exists that happened at. I would love to know where he was. But yeah, so that's the big issue with storytelling in paintball is that the rules can be interpreted very differently. And if your storytelling conflicts with your rules or conflicts with the way paintball works, for example, we've played a game where part of the story was required a group of players to walk in a straight line on a predetermined path, while 2 other players got to go hide somewhere on the field and just shoot at those players who were walking. Unacceptable in my books. That's not fun. That's not good storytelling. That is playing action figures with living people. It was too constrained, right? It was too constrained. Now, if it was flipped in the sense that 2 players go and hide, and then the story or the objective is there are 2 players hidden somewhere on the field, see if you can find them, or see if you can do certain task while these players are hidden on the field. Now that would be different. That would be a little more exciting. But marching somebody on a straight line is a 1990s rail shooter at the arcade.
Yes.
Which actually,
and again, this is no shade. That's slavish devotion to storytelling, which I love. I love it. I'm the kind of person that will sit there and throw a card at a hat for an hour, trying to throw that card, throw 5 cards in the hat in a row, because I'm choosing to do it. If I am choosing to walk in that straight line, I am aware of what's going to happen. It's very much like the final battle. You get what you put into it. I am aware that I am going to have a lot of paint thrown at me because I'm insolent. I know it's going to happen. So I know that when I walk in that straight line, I know going into it what's going to happen because I read the story. Now, it sucks for the guy that didn't read the story. Straight up. It's not fun for him. And that would be you. So.
And it's not that I refuse to read the story, is that I don't have the attention span or the interest to read a story. Because I don't, it's just not my cup
You don't
of
read
tea.
for fun. You don't read for fun at home.
No, I don't. I do audiobooks, but I don't read.
Again, that's no shade to anybody who doesn't read at home. You don't have time. You don't, whatever.
No. Different people have different interests and different things that motivate them.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. So that's where, storytelling in paintball and airsoft, but my experience in paintball is far outweighs my experience in airsoft. So that's what we're talking. Now, where I've seen storytelling done like really, really well was actually in North Carolina at the Snake Eater event, because there was only 60 players, and there was 60 players over 60 acres. It was wild. Wild.
Dudes laying in ghillie suits all day long.
There was 3 of them, and they controlled like half the field. Just the 3 of them. But it was so fun. It was one of those things where it was like, can't even be mad at them for being that good at hiding in the grass.
Because you were choosing to walk in a straight line into a sniper's nest. You knew they were there, and you and your boys chose to walk in there. You could have gone to the other side of the field and shot people. You chose to go into that situation. And that was fun.
Sort of. We didn't really have a
fun,
choice. What we needed was on that side of the field. We didn't know they were there, but we had to walk in a straight line. Now, here's the thing. He was smart where he sat, because we had to walk in a straight line because we had to walk through a swamp, and there was only one path.
Welcome to the swamp.
Yeah, basically, right? So, and he was like laying in the swamp. Like, that man smelled to the high heavens when he came out of it.
So we earned it.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Okay.
But the storytelling there was, it was done in increments. We weren't really given a background before the game had started. It was more like we kind of had an idea of who versus who, but the story was designed around. I think there was 5 parts to the day. It was broken down, and depending on, at a certain time, we would take a break. We would do like a 15-minute break, simply because it was so hot and humid that even the guys from Florida were having a hard time.
That's saying something right there.
So we had to stop every other little bit just to make sure everyone stay hydrated and whatnot. But when we stopped, he would tally up the scores, and depending on how the scores were going, he had 2 separate storylines ready to go.
Oh.
So depending on how the storyline was going, it changed the story. And then we'd get to the next one, and then it branched again. And then it branched again, and it branched again.
That is a lot of work.
It is
worth it,
but
wow,
it did not require us as players to memorize anything or know anything, because the whole point of it was we were not supposed to know what the outcome was.
No.
Right? So it would be a situation. So like at one point it was like we held a particular like spot. It was a fully fortified 2-story base kind of thing, and we held it. Thing is we didn't know how significant that holding that position was. We knew it was like something. We had a list of like 4 things to do. That was one of them. And because we held it, we got to start there at the next time, and it kind of and we had no idea.
No.
Yeah, it was an unknown advantage. So we kind of just found out afterward. They were like, okay, because you did this, you get this. We're like, oh, that's cool. So for me, that was much better storytelling, because it was more on the fly. Now, everything was obviously pre-planned. He wrote the storyline out ages ago.
He was ready. Again, a good DM he's ready for whatever his players, or at least partially aware that his players are going to throw some weird stuff at him, and he's going to have to pivot.
Exactly.
You're going to have to make a hard pivot somewhere.
Yep.
And if you aren't prepared for it, whatever you're not prepared for is going to come and get you. But if you've got at least your bases covered, that if something happens, you have a MacGuffin. Someone used one of my favorite words. You have the MacGuffin in there. that can reset it, do something to correct the balance and the flow of the game that won't hurt your story. That's why reenactments suck. If you are a recreationist or reenactment person that does that, you go like Civil War reenactments or whatever. Very cool. Awesome to watch if you're watching it. But unless you like losing, no one's going to pick being on the German side if you were holding Stalingrad. No one's going to pick that. That's not fun. I was choosing very carefully because I know a lot of people that would definitely want to play the South in North and South and try to make the South rise again. Fun fact, you lose every time. Sorry.
Right.
That's how that goes. So you can't have that in paintball.
You
can't.
And I have played events where this happened in California, actually.
Oh, yeah.
And in California, we were holding points left, right, and center. It was while there was a storyline, ultimately the game came down to a game of domination. Hold the flag until the ref calls the points. That kind of situation, right?
Okay.
We held them. Now, there were certain like little side objectives, like carrying a crate full of quote unquote gold, which was actually just full to the brim with 2x4s painted gold, which might as well have weighed as much as real gold because it took two of us half an hour to carry the bloody thing. But we were doing really great, and then the lunch break happened, and then we found out that we weren't supposed to be winning. Yeah, he's like, I wrote the storyline so that your team doesn't win. We're like, well, we are. So what are we going to do? And he's like, well, I'm just going to act like you're not. And I was like, that's terrible. He's like, well, it doesn't make sense because this game was an ongoing storyline over multiple years. Every game linked into the next one. And he's like, it won't make sense if you win for the next game.
That's not my fault.
That's what we said. And so then we said, okay, fine, whatever. Your rules mean nothing. Your storyline obviously means nothing. And we just ran amok of that field.
I do see his now. Devil's advocate. I will advocate for the story. You guys showed up at their game and you upended the apple cart and you were not coming back. So I could understand why he did it. That being said, that
the general of that team
player
was a local player.
Yeah.
In California. So, but that was it. We showed up, and I guess in the storyline, it didn't make sense for our team, whatever our background was, for us to be winning. We were supposed to be the underdogs. We were supposed to constantly take a beating and then eventually come through at the end of the year. So he had already written our arc. So it's kind of like, imagine watching Red Dawn, and the North Koreans never actually get the invasion to work.
Yeah,
that was essentially what happened. It was like
it was. See, that's right. Why. So, but again, at that moment, that's very, very demotivating, and I'm sure for the local guys that were playing there probably had words for that guy after, because
they did. Right. There was not another Operation Endwar. The event organizer just killed the whole thing because he got ripped apart.
Good job.
I didn't do it. It wasn't me. I did win an award at that event, though.
Biggest game killer?
No, the three of us, me and the two buddies that went down to California, we won the MoFo award from the other team. The other team's captain gave it to us because he said that every time he turned around and he asked his guys on the field, what's going on? How come I don't have this point or this point or that point? He said the same words kept coming out of the players' mouths. The damn Canadians are always in the way.
Why?
So there's the three of us just running amok on the field because at that point we stopped caring about the story and we just started playing a game of paintball. So we treated it as such. And while everyone was super obsessed about a certain objective, we were just rolling people.
Yeah.
Which was great. I had fun. I had heat stroke.
You did. Greg, I love that you let it. I love that you can let your kid listen to our show now.
Yeah, we've cleaned it up a little bit since now that we're on the radio.
Just a touch. Pistol Pitsy, I can't tell my favorite story about you on the radio. You know what
No.
it is. Everybody knows that's met me knows that story, and it still cracks me up to the end of days. Charles, buddy, see you tomorrow because we're gonna figure out some airsoft goodies. Because I went to go pew pew, and it's either I'm gonna go balling. It's Mother's Day, so I don't know what's going on at Moncton Paintball. I've been told that there might be a little something going on, but honestly, maybe I'll go out and see what's going on. Go sling some paint. I've got that. My Odin is thirsty for blood. She needs more. The gods must be given their taste.
What about the other one? Should you not have that in your hands by tomorrow?
I'm not to fire it until I speak to the man.
So speak to the man tomorrow. What he's going to
Alright.
tell you to do is to get the loader and crank up the torque on it. I guarantee you that's what he's going to tell you to do.
Okay.
So, because you have a Spire, right? No,
no, I got a rotor.
Yeah. So I guess with storytelling, I guess it really does. It does work when it works, and when it doesn't work, it really doesn't work. So be careful with your storytelling, but also coming from a player who does not really care about stories. I'm sorry, game designers and game writers. I know you put your heart and soul into it, and I appreciate the effort, and I appreciate the love and the passion that you put into doing what you do, and I can appreciate it and admire it from afar. But when it comes to playing paintball, I tend to just kind of forget what everything's going on, and I look for a firefight, and that's in the direction I wander in. So for players that are like me, please don't shy away from these story-driven events and these story-driven games, because you can go and have a good time and not really have to put time and effort into the story. You can just kind of ask, hey, where do I need to go? What do I need to do? And they'll point you in the direction.
If the general is doing his job, and it has been my experience that the generals that I have played for the vast majority have been exactly that. Yo, what's up? Where do I go? I need you to go here, and I need you to shoot as many people as you can on the way. And off we go. Only once did I see a general, but there, it was a little, didn't have a whole lot of instruction. But other than that, that's if the general's doing their job, that it's not an issue.
Yes. If they know what they're doing and they understand not to bog the player down with over details. We don't need details. Where, when, and what. Let's go, right?
Let's go.
Right.
But now, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time of the hour because we have to start wrapping things up a little earlier.
We do.
And it is unfortunate that I have to remind everybody to like, subscribe, share. Come back next week. Listen to us on 97.9
FM CHSR.
That's what we pay him for, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure that you go check out Nova Paintball. Go check out their markers. The Odin, I put my hands on the Odin and fired it. There is no finer mechanical marker I've ever fired, and I've been told that there's one that's coming that I will never pick up my Odin again. The Dreadnought looks like a beautiful piece of hardware. The original, the old school ones are just absolutely mwah. I love those old 700s. They're gorgeous. Moncton Paintball is going to be running their street ball event very soon. It's going to be coming up on the 15th of June. That'll be 2 weeks after D-Day, which we will be there, so you should be. And at the end, on the 23rd of June, because June's a big month for us, we're going to be hanging out at NME at Kirkfield because of their phenomenal joust event, which I am
That's where I was trying to remember where it was.
Kirkfield, not Kirkland.
No, Kirkfield.
Kirkfield. Yes. And we have been, we're being hosted by the hostess with the mostest, Miss Webba. The Webbas are taking care of us. So love to see all of you there. And next weekend is Paintball for Kids at SNL Paintball. So my maritime brothers and sisters, please get out there. Show some love to the IWK.
I'm making arrangements to get there.
Yeah, I have to do the same thing as I have the Prince of Paintball this next weekend. But that's okay because he is a kid and his nephew and his cousins are alive because of the IWK. So he'll understand that. Yeah. So, Jack, if you need a drive out to SNL, anybody who needs a lift, give me a call. I can probably squeeze 1 or 2 people in the truck to get you out there. So, Brad, do your thing.
Oh, no, you put me on the spot.
I know.
Folks, thank you for hanging out with us and liking and subscribing. And those of you listening to us on the radio over on 97.9 CHSR, please come find us on social media. Facebook.com/Maritime Paintball Podcast. Maritime Paintball Podcast on Instagram. We're even on TikTok until that gets banned. I guess that's an American thing, but you never know. Yeah, we're also on, what's the other one there? Threads. I don't know how to use it, but we're there apparently. And
YouTube, Twitch, Threads, Facebook, Instagram, soon to be on Pornhub. No, they keep saying no. I keep trying. They keep saying no. Apparently we don't follow their content needs. Anyways, have a nice night.
But that's it, folks. It's been a blast. So like I said, thank you for hanging out with us, chit-chatting with us. Yeah, if you find us on social media, if you have any questions, please feel free to shoot us a message. And if you have any suggestions for topics or guests, please reach out. We are always happy to accommodate. And if you have an idea of somebody who should come on because you think that they'd be really cool to talk to, then absolutely let us know, because we can definitely bring them on. But that's it. We're out of here. Thank you so much. We'll be back next week, same time, 9 p.m. Atlantic, 8 p.m. Eastern. You can find us online, facebook.com/Maritime Paintball Podcast, and also 97.9 CHSR FM. Thank you, folks. We're out of here. Cheers.